Hello and welcome. In preparation for your Paper 2 exam tomorrow morning, I'm just going to run through a quick breakfast warm-up. This is not to replace any breakfast warm-up that you would do with a member of staff. This is really aimed for students that aren't able to attend a breakfast warm-up or don't feel comfortable with a large group if you're doing a year group warm-up. Please do not do it if you are attending a breakfast warm-up session with a member of staff. This has been produced by, this has come from Resourceaholic. This is a fantastic maths revision site. I will link them in the description. And I did not create this. I have kind of stolen this just to make you aware of that. Right, so I'm going to start off. I'm going to go through this fairly quickly. I'm going to make it big enough for me to write on, hopefully, and for you to still see it. So this is the foundation warp. So first question then, I'll do it a row at a time. So a train travels at a constant speed of 60 miles per hour for 1.5 hours. How far has it travelled? So for this, I'm looking at 60 times by 1.5. So on my calculator, that's going to give me 90, but practice and just check that I'm happy with my calculator. So 60 miles. For question 2, 150 people raise money for a charity. They raise 4,560 altogether. Work out the mean amount per person. So we're doing 4,560 divided by 150 people. That's going to give me 4,560. I can do divide or as a fraction. So I'm looking at 30.4 or £30 and 40 pence per person. Next one, find the value of angle E. So we're using angle E. I'd be using the fact that this angle and this angle are supplementary angles or co-interior. So I'm going to do E is going to be equal to 180. Let me clear that writing up. 180 minus 50. Again, use your calculator if you need. 130. The ratio of boys to girls at a school is 5 to 7. There are 600 children at the school. How many boys are there at the school? So I need to do 600 divided by the total number of parts. There are currently 5 plus 7. I'm actually going to do it as 5 plus 7. And that will give me the amount for one part. I want 5 parts, so I'm going to times that by 5. So that's going to give me 600 over 7 plus 5, or 5 plus 7, times by 5. So I'm looking at 250 boys. And final one on this row, work out the value of x. So the angles of a quadrilateral need to add up to 360. So we've got 2 plus 3 plus 3 plus 1 is going to give me 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 lots of x are going to be equal to 360. So divide both sides by 9. We get x is equal to 360 divided by 9. Use your calculator if you need to. It's going to give you 40. So that's the first row. Okay, row 2. So question 1. The price of a TV increases by £200 to £1,000. What was the percentage increase? So for this, it's a little bit sneaky here. This is the final price. It's not the original price. So what we need to do is the change is 200 divided by the original price, which would be 1,000 minus 200, so 800. Times by 100 to get it as a percentage. So that's going to be equal to 25. Again, use your calculator if you're unsure of that. 200 over 800 times by 100 gives me 25%. Okay, the next one, we're looking at expanding. So I tend to do this using the construction line method. So I would do 3x times by x would give me 3x squared. I would then do 3x times by minus 1, which would give me minus 3x. 2 times by x would give me 2x. And then finally, 2 times by minus 1 would give me minus 2. I then need to simplify. It doesn't say expand and simplify, but it's always a given. So those would be simplified. So I'm going to leave that as 3x, or simplify that to 3x. Minus 3 plus 2 would be minus 1, or minus x minus 2. Right. Here we're asked to work out the hypotenuse of a right angle triangle. We know that it's going to be Pythagoras because it's just dealing with 3 sides of a right angle triangle. So x squared is going to be equal to 12 squared plus 9 squared, which is going to give me 12 squared plus 9 squared, going to give me 225. Square root my answer. X is going to be equal to, on your calculator, square root. You can take this, just press the answer key. That will give you your last value in there. Gives me 15. Right, solve an inequality. So I tend to treat these like an equal sign. You can kind of switch it, the inequality symbol, for an equals and then bring it back in, but I tend to just keep it this way. So I'm going to treat that as multiply at the brackets. 3x, 5x times 5 times 3x is 15x, minus 2 times 5 is 10, and that has to be less than 3x plus 14. So I've got more x's on my left hand side, so I'm going to minus 3x from both sides. That would give me 12x minus 10 has to be less than 14. I'm going to add 10 on both sides. That will give me 12x has to be less than 24, and then divide both sides by 12 would give me x is less than 2. Right, last one on this row, make R the subject. So we want to make R the subject. I tend to underline the term I'm trying to make the subject, and then I take the stages to get them by itself. So the first thing I want to do is to get rid of this minus 5. I'm going to do that by adding 5 on both sides. So that will give me t plus 5 is equal to, and I'm going to take a slight helping me with my next stage, 2 pi times by r. Now I want to get rid of the times by 2 pi, so I do that by dividing by 2 pi. So I'm going to say that t plus 5 divided by 2 pi is equal to r. So r is now the subject. I tend to, if the question had asked me to make r the subject, I would tend to write r first. There we go. Right, row 3. So solve x squared plus 7x plus 6 is equal to 0. So my first step is to factorize this. So it's going to go into 2 brackets. To make an x squared term, both brackets are going to have to start with x. And then I'm looking for 2 numbers that multiply together to make the back term, and that add together to make the middle term. So the numbers that I'm looking for there are going to be 6 and 1. That's the only combination that will work. So plus 6 and plus 1. Now, for 2 things to multiply together to make 0, one of them has to be equal to 0. So to make the first bracket 0, x would need to be equal to minus 6. And to make the second bracket 0, x would need to be equal to minus 1. So those are my 2 answers. Right, a packet of 12 0.5 litre bottles of lemonade costs £18. What is the cost in pence per milliliter of lemonade? So I'm going to say if I've got 12 0.5 litres, I'm going to have in total 3 litres, and that's going to cost me £18. So 3 litres is equal to 3,000 millilitres, and that's going to cost me, I'm going to convert that into pence as well, 1,800 or 1,800 pence. Now I just need to convert that. So 1 milliliter is going to be equal to 1,800 divided by 3,000. So 1,800 divided by 3,000, 0.6. So 1 milliliter will cost me 0.6 pence. Find the 4th term in the sequence with the nth term being equal to 3n squared plus 5. So that's a substitution really. So 3 times by 4 squared plus 15, plus 5, and then I can just use my calculator straight away. 3 times by 4 squared plus 5 gives me 53. Right, the area of the base of a cylinder is 20 centimeters squared. The height of the cylinder is 7 centimeters. Work out the volume of the cylinder. Well, the volume of a cylinder or any prism is going to be equal to the surface area, well, the face area. So the area of the face times by the height. So in this case, that's going to be 20 times by 7, which would give me 140 centimeters cubed. And then for my final one on this row, the value of a car has decreased by 20% in the last year. It now has a value of 12,850. How much was it worth 1 year ago? So I'm going to say if it's been reduced by 20%, then the multiplier would be 0.8. And if I've times the value by 0.8 and got 12,850, to find the original value, I'm going to do 12,850 divided by 0.8. So 12,850 divided by 0.8 gives me 16,000. So 16,062 pence, 62 pounds and 50. And the final row then. So £1 is equal to 16 ounces, so we've got a conversion there, and 2.2 pounds is equal to 1 kilogram. A recipe needs 250 grams of flour. How many ounces of flour are needed? Well, I'm going to convert it into pounds first of all. So it's a quarter of it, so it's going to be 2.2 divided by 4, and that will give me the number of pounds it would be. And then I need to times that by 16 to get the number of ounces that I would need. So 2.2 divided by 4 times by 16 gives me 8.8 ounces. The next one, find the bearing of C from D. So good tip here, it always tells you from where you're measuring. So I want this angle here. Angles around a circle equal 360, so I'm going to do 360 minus 85, which is going to give me 275. Again, use your calculator if you're unsure. Okay then, question the third one on the bottom row. So the circumference of a circle has a radius of 7 centimeters. It is equal to the perimeter of a square. Work out the length of one side of the square. Well, the circumference is going to be equal to 2 pi r. And the perimeter is going to be equal to 4 lots of the side. So if I kind of work on that basis, those two things need to be equal. So I'm going to say that 4x has got to be equal to 2 times by pi times by the radius, which was 7. So x is going to be equal to, well, that's going to be 14 pi. So x is going to be equal to 14 pi over 4. So x is going to be equal to 14 shift pi divided by 4. It's going to give me the value of 7 over 2 pi, and as a decimal that's going to be 10.9955 ... So let's say I'm going to call that 11.0 centimeters to 1 decimal place. Okay, Dan flips a fair coin twice. Find the probability that he gets 2 tails. So the probability of 2 tails is probability of 1 tail times by the probability of 1 tail. So that's going to be equal to 1 over 4. So I'd go 1 over 4 or 0.25 is absolutely fine. For the final one, we're looking at, this is a right angle triangle where we're using 2 sides and 1 angle. So we're using trigonometry. So I'll label these 2 sides the opposite and the hypotenuse. And I'm trying to find the hypotenuse. So the trig ratio with an O and a H in. is going to be the sine ratio. So sine is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. So rearranging that to find the hypotenuse, hypotenuse is equal to the opposite divided by sine of the angle. So x is going to be equal to 5 divided by the sine of 40. And then if we use our calculators, so 5 divided by sine of 40, I've missed my 0 off, I'll put that back in now, is going to give me 7.7786. So I'm going to call that 7.8 centimeters to 1 decimal place. Okay, and that's that sheet. Thank you very much. I hope that's helped get you in the mood and ready for your paper 2. Good luck today. I wish you the very best of luck. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Please check out my other videos on the build up to your paper 3. Please subscribe if you like, and thank you for your time.